Hello, everybody. In Chapter 16, we're going to be talking about using effective promotions, kind of building off of what we've learned in the last couple of chapters as far as, marketing, advertising, and how to use those promotions. So we're going to be talking about promotion and promotion mix. Advertising just means informing, persuading, reminding. Personal selling, providing personal attention. Public relations, which is building relationships. Sales promotion, giving the buyers incentives, word of mouth and other promotional tools, and then also managing the promotion mix, putting it all together. So to start out this chapter, this is a really good example of a really good promotion that's going on right now with Dollar Shave Club. So partner with Mark Levine to solve the problem of expensive razors. Dubbin built a website and created a short video to use in meetings to win over investors. After developing relationships with bloggers and online influencers, he put the video online and asked them to share it. After the video went viral, the company boomed and was eventually sold to Unilever. So with Dollar Shave Club, it was a really good idea just because, the cost of razors are so expensive, whether you're getting, Gillette or one of those top name companies like that. Even just like a 3-pack of razors is like $15. Whereas with Dollar Shave Club, you can get like a monthly subscription, and the monthly subscription comes with, razors. It comes with like shave gel, different types of lotions and everything. And I want to say it's pretty inexpensive. I want to say it's probably that $10 to $20 range each month. So overall, their marketing campaign was great. They still do a great job with marketing, whether it's through print, television, radio. Definitely reaching out to that, male market. So a promotion mix, that's going to be the combination of promotional tools an organization uses. So here's just kind of a guide here as to what a promotional mix is. So, it's a little bit of advertising, a little bit of personal selling, sales promotion, public relations, and as you can see, it's all surrounding the product in itself. So an integrated marketing communication is a technique that combines the promotional tools into a comprehensive and unified promotional strategy. IMC is used to create a positive brand image, meets the needs of consumers, and meets the strategic marketing and promotional goals of the firm. So overall, just a really good marketing campaign. Some of the steps involved in a promotional campaign: identifying that target market, so figuring out who you're wanting to sell to, define the objectives for each element of the promotional mix, determining a promotional budget. That's extremely important in any type of business venture. Developing a unifying message, implementing the plan, and then evaluating the effectiveness after the fact. So here's some of the classic campaigns. Throughout the years, we've got A Diamond Is Forever, which is still going strong through the De Beers. It's been going around since 1939. You've got the Marlboro Man, though controversial, he's the most successful trade character ever. We haven't seen too much of the Marlboro Man just because cigarette companies aren't allowed to, advertise too much anymore. And a couple of the other ones, Old Spice, the Man Your Man Could Smell Like. Old Spice over the years has had many successful marketing campaigns. Right now, they've had the crazy commercials out there that everybody seems to remember. They're a really big hit on Super Bowl Sunday. So there's just tons of different examples of classic marketing campaigns. The first one that comes to mind for me is probably the Mastercard. Listing different items, and then at the very end, priceless. That's been around for a very long time. I think they finally switched over from that marketing campaign within the last couple of years, but overall, that was a hugely successful campaign for MasterCard. So advertising, we've talked about it a little bit. So, this is the paid non-personal communication through various media by organizations and individuals who are in the same way identified in the advertising message. So, to put it, simply, these are the commercials that you're seeing, any sort of ad prints, anything that you're seeing that's trying to sell you on a product or a service. So some of the impact of advertising. So total advertising expenditures exceed $420 billion in 2016. Consumers benefit because production costs of TV programs, radio programs, newspapers, magazines are paid for by the advertisers, and then marketers choose ad media that will reach the target market. That's a really big thing now, especially with streaming services, to where you have to pay like an online subscription to make up for those advertising dollars that are lost. So we have different types of categories of advertising. We have retail advertising, which is to consumers by various retail stores. Think Walmart, Target. Trade advertising to wholesalers and retailers by manufacturers. Business to business advertising for manufacturers to other manufacturers. Institutional advertising, which is creative, attractive image for organization rather than or for the product. And then you have product advertising, which is to create interest among consumer, commercial, and industrial buyers. Also included, advocacy advertising supports particular view of an issue. Compares advertising, compares competitive products. Interactive advertising enable customers to choose the information they receive. Online advertising, which is appear on computers as people visit different websites, probably the one that we're probably seeing the most out of all of these. And then mobile advertising reaches people on their smartphones, which is becoming bigger and bigger each year, just with everybody going more, mobile technology. So here's some of the estimated U.S. dollars, spent on advertising in 2016. As you can see, TV was, the highest out of them all. We do have digital. Radio is still, widely successful. I know I listen to ESPN radio every day, so I hear tons of ads through them. You do still have newspapers and magazines, those old school type of print, which they're not going away quietly. So those are still great, places to get advertisements. And then you do have, things like, outdoor advertisements such as billboards. And then you do have, directories down towards the bottom there. So advertising seems to be everywhere as we go about our daily lives. Can the noise created by so many ads interfere with the messages the advertisers are trying to communicate? It's always kind of been an old adage in advertising that any type of media is good media, whether it is bad. Roger Stone, who is a longtime political consultant, who's very controversial. Throughout the years, he's always said that it's better to be infamous than not famous at all. So advertisers, for the most part, even if you're kind of having some sort of a bad reputation, at least people are still talking about it, and you can get tons of free press out of different things. I think Tesla, that's a kind of a great example right now where Tesla kind of seems to be failing, but everybody's still talking about Tesla, and you know exactly what Tesla is, even though they're not really producing products the way they should be producing them. So here's some of the steps involved in launching a direct mail campaign, which is something we don't see a whole lot anymore, but it is still out there. So overall, you get a plan together. So what should your mailing accomplish? Are you trying to sell something? Are you trying to promote a service? One of the most common ones that I've seen here recently is for a lawn care company in my neighborhood. They've done quite a bit with direct mail campaigns. So get the right list. The better the list, the better chance of success. So they're looking around different neighborhoods in my city, kind of seeing these areas that might be able to afford a lawn care service. Stand out, make your ad like no other. You want a little buzz around it. You want people to start talking about it. Don't be afraid to get help. So contact a marketing firm with direct mail experience, and then the final portion is follow up. One mailing is not enough. So if you're going to get one letter, you're probably going to get probably at least 5 of them. So we do have television advertising. TV advertising is still the dominant media. DVRs and on-demand services challenge TV advertising because you can skip ads. Just kind of like what we talked about a few minutes ago is, with things like Netflix and Hulu, you can buy these subscriptions to where you don't have to watch advertisements anymore. But with that, a lot of these advertisers are kind of pivoting and spending a lot more on mobile advertising and online advertising as well. So product placement, this is putting products into TV shows and movies where they will be seen. So anytime you see a movie and you see like, a Chevy car or somebody drinking Budweiser, that's not by accident. That's completely, by a plan. So I know when the Transformers movies came out, originally Chevy had a huge deal with Transformers and becoming like the car for those movies. So if you look around, all of those cars are GM products that were in those Transformers movies, the original ones anyway. So I know there was a really big bidding war between GM and Ford at the time of that. Another movie to think about is, Talladega Nights, which you think about, Ricky Bobby, his car was sponsored by Wonder Bread. That was actually just kind of a joke between Will Ferrell, who said he thought it'd be a really funny idea to just have a car sponsored by Wonder Bread, and Wonder Bread got a ton of free advertising thanks to that movie and thanks to that idea. So that wasn't one of those things where Wonder Bread went out and they had to, do a huge bid to get into that movie. It was just kind of a running joke within the movie, and ended up being a very successful movie for Will Ferrell, and a huge advertisement for Wonder Bread in the long run. So, product placement is often subtle, like this out of focus 7-Eleven located behind Superman. The goal is to influence you to want that product yourself. What product placements have you noticed in your favorite TV shows and movies? That's a kind of great example. Even though it is, out of focus, it's still something that you're probably going to notice. And it's just like subliminal messages to kind of get you thinking, like, oh, yeah, maybe we need to stop by 7-Eleven, after the movie to pick up, a soda or, a bottle of water or something along those lines. So, like I said, it's always by design that these companies have advertisements within a movie. Just because if you see somebody on the big movie screen and they're drinking a certain soda, they're eating a certain food, chances are it's by design. After you get done with the movie, you're probably going to start thinking about that product a little bit more. So here's some of the priciest shows for advertisers, in America here. So Sunday Night Football, which is on every Sunday night, during the football season, the cost for an advertisement there is, $673,000. So, I mean, this is just a regular program that they have throughout the year. Obviously Super Bowl Sunday, that's the biggest, day for advertisers, where some of those commercial spots go for, $2 million and even more than that, depending on how much time you want to take. So, the top three here, you've got, Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, and then Thursday Night Football on NBC. So, football is a really big deal in this country, so it's not surprising to see, so much being spent during those games, just because there's so many people tuning in. Empire, that's a really big one, although it's getting canceled here. I think at the end of this year, maybe next year. Big Bang Theory, this one was just finished, a few weeks ago. This Is Us, Modern Family, The Voice, and then Grey's Anatomy. So all of these shows are very popular, and if you look, they're all on national networks. So it's not like a network like AMC or like USA or something like that. I mean, these are all networks that everybody seems to get. So infomercials. This is a full-length TV program devoted exclusively to promoting goods or services. You probably see a lot of infomercials, late at night, early in the morning, when typical program isn't on your television. You're going to see it on a lot of just basic local channels like NBC, ABC, CBS. You'll see it a lot on the weekends as well. I can't even remember some of the infomercials that are out there right now. I don't do a whole lot of TV watching when it comes to the weekends. But with online advertising, online ads are attempts to get potential customers to a website to learn about a product, and then you also do have interactive promotions, which are promotion processes that allows marketers to go beyond a monologue, where sellers try to persuade buyers to buy things, to a dialogue which buyers and sellers work together to create mutually beneficial exchange relationships. So here's some of the biggest infomercials in the last 40 years. We got the Vegematic, the Ginsu knives. It seems like there's always some sort of infomercial about some sort of knife. The Clapper, the ThighMaster, Bowflex, Proactive, OxyClean, the Ped Egg, and then the George Foreman Grill. So, I mean, all of these are highly successful products. And there's also a science behind selling these. So, if you think and if you watch some of these programs, I mean, especially with OxyClean, what was it? Billy Mays, he was the individual that was always on the screen. Billy Mays, he was a very loud individual, and he was very precise in what he was saying. So he kept it short and sweet, but also giving you facts as well. So like I said, there is definitely a science in it. So if you look at like Flex, like Flex in a Can. Is another one right now. That was kind of like a Billy Mays type of commercial where they're kind of coming at you with a lot of facts, a lot of information kind of right off the bat, and then showing you, how successful it is and how it works. So a lot of those infomercials and advertisements kind of follow those kind of guidelines. So for online experience, here's how to avoid losing customers over a bad website. So brand messaging is key. The site must be easy to navigate. If you do have a hard website to navigate, people are just going to probably X out of it and go to a different website. Make sure your calls to action are effective. You want to engage your users and link to your social media pages. So most of the time on these websites, whether it's at the very top, at the very bottom, they'll have links to the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, different social media pages. Average attention span is 8 seconds. Users want fast, readable sites. So if you do have, a site that isn't giving you information, kind of right off the bat, kind of the same thing where, if it's not easy to navigate, people are just going to X out of it and go to a different website. And then you've got users with disabilities should be able to navigate as well. So social media advertising, so these are companies that can measure how many times a post is viewed or shared, and then social media allows marketers to test promotions before bringing them to traditional media. So the great thing with something like Facebook right now is how you can post like a poll out there to see if somebody's going to be interested in something. You might be able to do kind of like a soft promotion where you throw an idea out there and be like, oh, you can go to different types of markets, get this product right now. I know the meatless burger with Burger King, that's a really big hit right now through social media and Burger King, and it's only in St. Louis areas, but everybody's kind of talking it around the country just because it's been a really good social media promotion for them, and they're getting a lot of feedback on that. So wouldn't be surprised if we start to see those meatless burgers in other markets across the country. You've got global advertising, which requires marketers to develop a single product and promotional strategy to implement worldwide. Problems can arise in global markets with using one advertising campaign in all countries, especially bad translations. We had classic examples of that a few chapters ago, and then many marketers are moving from globalism to regionalism. And the reason behind that is just to avoid, any sort of, bad translation. You have different regions and different markets that just kind of relate to different things and see things a little bit differently. So you do have to have different marketing campaigns across different regions and countries. So here's a really good example of, so American beer drinkers most likely know Pabst Blue Ribbon as the inexpensive brew. That's not the case in China, though, where the company sells an upscale version of the beer for $44 a bottle. Why do some companies develop unique promotional strategies for different countries rather than depend on one unified brand that's all the same over the world? So, overall, it's just a really good idea for companies to come up with ideas like this because they can branch out a little bit more. Pabst Blue Ribbon does this. I will also say that, so Buick. So here in America, Buick is a pretty good automobile, but over in Asia, Buick is what Cadillac is over here. So, it's kind of like the top notch. Everybody kind of wants a Buick. So, they will release earning reports, throughout the year, and Buick in the United States usually does okay, but over in the Asia market, they're always, one of the top brands over there. So over in Asia, they kind of view it as it's a foreign commodity, so it's a little more upscale. It's a little, more expensive to buy over there. So kind of like how we view almost like a Mercedes-Benz, if you will, to where it is a foreign vehicle. People typically view it as a little more upscale. So like I said, it's just a good strategy to have different types of marketing campaign because you can kind of think outside the box on a lot of this stuff and see if you can get some people to view your product in a different light. So here are the biggest advertisers, throughout the world. So obviously the United States is number one. They have we spend almost $115 billion, each year on advertising. The next closest one is Germany, which we almost quadruple what Germany is spending on their advertising. So it's kind of crazy to think about. And then all the way at the bottom you do have China, which I think a lot of government regulation has to play into that as well. Personal selling. So this is the face-to-face presentation and promotion of goods and services. Salespeople need to listen to customers' needs, help reach a solution, and do everything possible to make the transaction as simple as possible. So, personal selling might be something just as easy as like a door-to-door salesman. It seems like, at least once a month I have somebody coming in my door, wanting to sell like new windows, wanting to sell me a new roof, something along those lines. You know, I often wonder, how successful those individuals are in their, door-to-door selling. But I think if you keep trying, and if you catch the person at the right time, they'll be, somewhat successful in those sort of campaigns. You're familiar with all kinds of situations which people do personal selling. They work in a local department store, sell all kinds of goods and services like automobiles, insurance, and real estate. What could they do to be more helpful to you, the customer? I think overall, I think if they were maybe just a little less pushy, that would be helpful. But then also just having a lot of good information. So the issue that I've run into is, if I am making like a big purchase, I want to go someplace and I want to talk to somebody who knows a lot about the product. If it's somebody who is a trainee or only been in a position for a very short amount of time, nothing annoys me more than, oh, I got to go ask, or I got to go get my manager to ask them about it or something like that. Like, I understand that you're in, your training session and everything, but at the same time, like, I came to you to ask these questions. If I wanted to research it on my own, I could have just stayed home and looked at it on the internet. So that would be kind of my biggest thing as far as, personal selling is, just be very knowledgeable about the product that you're selling. So steps in the selling process, prospect and qualify. You want to pre-approach and then approach the individuals. Make a presentation, show kind of the pros and cons of making the purchase, answer any objections that they might have, and then finally close the sale. So a trial close is a question or a statement that moves the selling process towards the actual close, and then you have the follow-up once you do make the close. You can follow up with them later on. Ask them. Car dealerships do a great job of this. After you get done, buying a car, they might call you about a month later just to check in on you, see how you're doing with your new automobile, and then they continue to do follow-ups, throughout the years. Just at your 1 year anniversary, they'll call you. After usually car or car loans, especially through SEFCU, average about a 3 year lifespan. So that kind of tells me that every 3 years, individuals are looking for new cars. So that's usually kind of what the dealerships do as well, where every at the 3 year mark, they'll call and be like, hey, I just got this brand new Corvette here, whatever it might be, and they'll say, I think you'd be a good option for you, and then see if they can't get you to come back in, to buy that automobile. So prospecting and qualifying. So this is just researching potential buyers and choosing those most likely to buy. I can't stress the importance of prospecting because, if you're trying to sell insurance to an insurance agent, it's probably not going to work out that well for you. So you want to do a little bit of research before you start making a sales pitch to somebody to find out, do they actually need it? Do they know more about the product than I do? Qualifying, making sure that people have the need for the product, the authority to buy, and the willingness to listen, to a sale message. So kind of same thing there. So, these individuals that are coming to my door and asking if I need new windows or a new roof or something like that. So we just ended up getting new windows in my house not that long ago, in the same way with the roof. My roof is only about 5 or 6 years old. So these individuals, they need to kind of take note of that and figure out, oh yeah, I'm probably not in the market for new windows or a new roof at this time. Prospecting, a person with the means to buy a product, the authority to buy, and the willingness to listen to a sales message. So like I was talking about with this follow-up, making the sale isn't the end of the salesperson's relationship with the customer. The salesperson should follow up in the sale to make sure the customer is happy and perhaps suggest something to complement what the customer purchased. So if salespeople been able to sell you more because they use effective follow-up procedures, and how did they do it? Kind of the same thing with, automobile, where if you buy an automobile from a dealership, they might call you a couple months down the road, say, hey, we got this great plan going on for oil changes at my dealership. If you want to come in, you can get a full service for $50 a month or something along those lines. So that's just one example that a lot of salesmen use in those situations. So here's some successful selling strategies. So just knowing your competition, knowing what else is out there, what other individuals might be buying, and why your products is a little bit better than what anybody else is selling. Understanding your customer's business. You need to differentiate your product or service. Let them know why your product is better or why your service is better. Sell the people most likely to buy. Goes back to that thing of, if I already have new windows, I don't need to buy new windows, so you need to make sure that you're selling to somebody who's likely going to buy those new windows. Build those relationships. You want to get kind of on a first name basis with somebody. You want to make sure that anytime they have an issue, they can always reach out to you. They can reach out to you for questions. Make yourself available 24/7. And then put the right people in the right selling spots. You don't want to put a brand new individual going into a long time customer just because they might view that as oh, you're just pushing me off onto somebody new, and that might kind of sour the relationship that you have. So here's some of the common sales slip ups. So not understanding your customer's point of view. One of the classic techniques in selling is using feel, felt, found technique. Is I feel exactly what you're feeling. Here's what customers in the past have felt, and then here's what we found in those situations. Making money is your only goal. You definitely don't want a salesperson to kind of portray that sort of attitude to where you don't necessarily care about the customer. You're only caring about the commission. Seeing sales just as a job. So if it is just a 9-to-5 job for you, and you're hoping to do something, most likely the customers are probably going to be able to see that in your face. Getting upset during a presentation. So if you do have somebody who's asking a lot of questions, be very patient with them. Don't get upset. Failing to properly prepare or over preparing. So if you fail to properly prepare, the customer is going to know it. Even if you're over prepared, it might sound a little bit scripted. You don't want that to be the case because you want it to sound authentic. If you're not being it yourself, if you're typically a very quiet person and you come across as being very boisterous, just disingenuous in general, that's not going to go over all that well for you. And then just neglecting the relationship. So if you do give out your business card to somebody and they reach out to you, if you just send it to voicemail and never return their phone calls, that's not a good look for you or your organization. So business to consumer sales process. So most of the sales take place in retail stores. The salesperson does not have to do much prospecting or qualifying. So think about something like Dick's Sporting Goods, where somebody's coming in to buy like a treadmill or something. That individual came into Dick's Sporting Goods for a reason. So just kind of like what it says, you don't have to do much prospecting or qualifying. They already know kind of what they want in that situation. Retail salesperson or people don't usually need to pre-approach step and then follow up if the product is to be delivered, installed. Kind of what we were talking about a little bit ago. If you do end up making that sale, follow up a few days afterwards. Ask them, how's the new treadmill? Have you got it up? Have you got it running? That sort of thing. And with that, and most of the time in retail sales, it doesn't have to be a lot of follow up with it. It's usually, 1 or 2 phone calls, and that's usually the end of it. Public relations, so this is going to be the management function that evaluates public attitudes, changes policies and procedures in response to the public's requests, and executes a program of action and information to earn public understanding and acceptance. So 3 steps of a good PR program is, listen to the public, change policies and procedures, inform people you're responsive to their needs. So one of the things that always kind of comes to mind in these situations is, with sports. So whether it's the NFL, MLB, NBA, something like that. So you want to have a good PR with that because a lot of the times you have like referees with blown calls. So the NFL just did it with instant replay and kind of figuring out different situations that you can use that instant replay. So especially with the Rams and Saints game that took place this last year, there was a blown call in there. So the NFL got a lot of bad public relations for that. So they definitely changed the policy and procedure for that. They let the audience know about it. So going forward to this next season, hopefully they're going to have some good PR from it. Here's a really good example also of promotion. So, with tens of thousands of people soak themselves in freezing water to promote awareness for the disease ALS. So, the videos of the Ice Bucket Challenge went viral for months and led to $115 million dollars in donations to ALS research. What do you think made this promotion so successful? I thought it was a hugely successful promotion just because everybody could take part in it. It was one of those things where you could tag a friend on Facebook and say, hey, I'm challenging you to the ALS. It was also great because it was kind of a team building thing for a lot of offices. So, one department or one office might challenge another office into it, and everybody was just involved. Whenever you can donate a lot of money to a great cause like the ALS research, I think it just, was a win win for everybody involved. So for publicity, this is any information about an individual product or organization that is distributed to the public through the media and that's not paid for or controlled by the seller. So advantages of publicity, so it's free, reaches people who would not look at an advertisement, and then more believable than advertising. So if you do have, a situation that comes up, maybe you're getting some good publicity, through the news. Maybe you have like an automobile manufacturer, they got into a really bad wreck. It saved, a life. They go on the news about it and be saying, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for, my Chevrolet or my Ford, whatever it might be. I mean, that's going to be great publicity in those situations. So some of the disadvantages of publicity is no control over whether the media will use a story or when they may release it. It can be good or bad, and then once a story has been run, it's likely to not run again. So kind of like we were talking about, if you do have a situation where you do have some bad publicity, that can work out, badly for the company. But like I was saying earlier, there's no such thing as bad publicity just for the fact that your name is constantly out there, and people are always going to remember it. Sales promotion. So this is the promotional tool that stimulates consumer purchasing and dealer interest by means of short-term activities. So some of the categories of sales promotions are business-to-business sales promotions and then consumer sales promotions as well. So key consumer promotions, you have samples, coupons, contests, and prizes. This is something probably all of us have come into, at some point or another. Coupons, contests and prizes. It seems like, every day we're kind of seeing those, whether it's be on social media, you can sign up for, a contest to win a certain product or a certain prize. So those are, hugely successful for a lot of organizations. So sampling is a promotional strategy that lets people try a new product, often in a situation when they can buy it right away if they like it. So what are some of the advantages of sampling food products that advertising can't duplicate? You'll see a lot of this on like, at grocery stores, like on the weekends, to where, certain company might have, a sample stand set up to where you can go in, you can, sample that product. And most of the time, if they are there, with their product and you're able to sample it, they'll usually have some sort of sale going on it as well. So where, if you go in, maybe they have, mozzarella cheese from a certain company, you can eat that cheese right then and there. If you like it, maybe you can get, 2 packs of that cheese for the price of one, or some sort of promotional price like that. So I think overall it's a great idea, just because you can get people who try that product right then and there. They can decide if they like it, and then if they do like it, then they're going to purchase it. So here are some of the most visited U.S. coupon clearing sites. So we have Groupon, RetailMeNot, Coupons.com, Ebates, Shop at Home, and SmartSource. So couponing has become a really big thing in this country thanks to the reality TV show. So a lot of these websites have done a great job of promoting coupons and getting the word out there on a lot of this. I personally don't do a whole lot with coupons. I probably should, but it's just one of those things that I don't necessarily have the time to go through and look for a lot of coupons. So word of mouth promotion. So this is just people telling others about products they've purchased. So still today, word of mouth promotion is still one of the most productive promotions, just because you have somebody who has a good experience with somebody, they're going to tell their friend, that friend is going to tell another friend, and it just carries on from there. You've got viral marketing, which is paying customers to say positive things on the internet or setting up multiple selling schemes whereby consumers get commissions for directing friends to specific websites. Many viral marketing campaigns give away free products or services in exchange for email addresses. A really good example of viral marketing is on Amazon. You do get a lot of fake reviews out there for certain products saying this product was a great product. Those people are just getting paid for by the company, in hopes of people going out there and buying those products. Social networking. So here's some of the steps to launch a successful promotional campaign. So know your customer base. If you're going after a younger or older generation for your product, post something new every day. So you don't want your social media page to get stagnant. You want to make sure that people are going out there and checking on it every day. Almost kind of make it into a daily routine to where, I'm going to go check on this company to kind of see what they're doing here today. One of the things that comes to mind is like Wendy's. They have a really good Twitter page that kind of seems to always be in the news. So they're constantly posting something every day, and then more people follow it just because they have entertaining tweets. And people are going out there and looking for something to look at and to laugh at throughout the day. Develop fun, suitable hashtags. Kind of the same thing what I was talking about with Wendy's there. Use a publishing calendar. So I know Instagram is really big in this, to where you can kind of put up a plan together as to when you're going to post things, what time of day, what it's going to be, and then that way you're not getting behind on your posts. Engage with customers through contests and entertainment. You want to make sure that you're having, those different types of contests, or, engaging customers to, anybody who has, the best comment, they're going to win a, $10 gift card, or whoever can get the most likes on this comment, we'll fly them out to our headquarters and give them a tour of the headquarters, for a couple of days. Just different things like that gets, customers engaged. They're, happy to do it, and overall it's just going to be a great branding opportunity for you as well. Follow back and reply commenters. One of the best things you can do on a social media page is anytime somebody posts a comment is to reply back as much as possible. Big time organizations have people voted just to replying to comments on social media pages, and people get paid for that. So if that's something that you really want to do, you're really big into social media, that might be something that you want to look at for a career standpoint. Familiarize yourself with new site features. So if your company does make a change to your site, you want to make sure that you do have a plan put together for people coming to you asking for questions, or just kind of get ahead of it on your social media page. Kind of let people know, hey, we changed the color format, or the color scheme, or the different format of our website. If you have any questions, here's kind of a step-by-step thing that you can look at. And then measure the effectiveness of a post. If you do have a post out there, are you getting a bunch of likes? Are you getting a bunch of comments? Are they good comments? Are they bad comments? So, different ways to kind of look at it. So here are the steps toward making money on Instagram. I know becoming, Instagram famous is a really big thing right now, especially with like the Kardashians and everything. So if you want to become famous on there and start making some money, here's some of the steps that you can take. So stay away from selfie quality snaps. Highlight your product with a crisp professional photo. Plan ahead with a posting calendar, like we talked about in the last slide. Don't forget about the captions. A lot of people will put, quotes out there, whether it be like inspirational, different things like that. And then make sure your bio page links to your website. Blogging. So blogs are a great way to interact with customers and improve the company's website's ranking. So blogs are becoming a huge thing nowadays. I think we talked about it a couple of chapters ago about how there's a lot more blogs now than there ever has been. And just because anybody can have a blog. So anybody can go out there, they can start their blog, and if you do become a big blogger, then you might have companies reaching out to you to see about promoting different products within your blog. And then a lot of these companies are paying top dollar to have these bloggers promote their products. Podcasting, that's becoming a bigger and bigger thing every day. So podcasting, that's just a means of distributing audio and video programs via the internet. It lets the user subscribe to a number of files, also known as feeds, and then here view the material at the time that they choose. So podcasts, like I said, are becoming bigger and bigger. I don't do a whole lot with podcasts. I do have a lot of friends that listen to a lot of podcasts, whether it be in their car, at the office throughout the day. So, I definitely see a lot of advertising, possibilities throughout podcasts. Email promotions, this is something that we see on a daily basis. So, just increase brand awareness among commercial suppliers. You're probably getting emails, especially here recently, whenever we have, whether it be the 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, you've got, a lot of these holiday sales going on to where, maybe some of these companies are doing 25% off, 50% off. So anytime you do have a holiday coming up, you're probably going to have a bunch of emails kind of promoting different products or, sales going on for organizations. Mobile marketing, marketers just make use of smart phones to text customers about product offers and other company information. This is becoming bigger, but you can opt out of it. A lot of companies will ask for your phone number, and then there will be a checkbox there, asking if it's okay to text you about promotional information. I don't do a whole bunch with marketing or mobile marketing just because I don't want people texting me about things. Emails is one thing, but a text is a little bit different. The one thing I do with my mobile phone is just like updates, whether it be through like UPS, like tracking. If I have a prescription going to Walgreens that's going to get fulfilled, I'll have them text me whenever my order is ready. I think those are really useful tools, to where you can get that text and know right away exactly the status of something. But as far as like you know a promotional product and letting me know about a sale or something like that, I'm probably not going to opt in for some of those marketing campaigns. So here's some unique promotional strategies. So while most bus shelter ads aren't too special, the Minnesota-based chain Caribou Coffee designed its shelters in a way that left commuters feeling all warm inside. Do you think giving consumers experience like warmth on a cold day is an effective way to remind them of the product? I definitely think this is probably a good idea, especially in a cold place like Minnesota. And this kind of works in a two different ways. So, I mean, the first way is the individual that see it, is going to stand out to them, especially if you're waiting for the bus. You're definitely going to get warm. Caribou Coffee is probably going to be seen in a good light with you, but it also helps out because a news station is probably going to run some sort of story on this, so you're going to get a lot of free publicity, through different news stations. You're going to have a lot of people, doing a lot with like snaps on it, so Snapchatting, Facebook. I mean, there's just endless possibilities with little campaigns like this. So, overall, it was probably a somewhat small investment, and they're going to get tons of free publicity out of this in front, tons of free advertising. So a couple of different strategies to kind of end the chapter here. So you do have a push strategy. So this is the producer uses advertising, personal selling, sales promotion, and all of the promotional tools to convince wholesalers and retailers to stock and sell merchandise. And then you've got a pull strategy, which is heavy advertising and sales promotion efforts and are directed toward consumers that they'll request the product from retailers. So a good example of a pull strategy where be Lay's, they do something every year where they introduce like 5 different types of chips, and then it's up to the consumers to decide which is the best type of chip out of those, and then after the competition, one of those chips will become a regular line of chips for Lay's. For pull strategy though, with that is throughout the years, maybe the chip that came in second or third, maybe there was like a huge fan base for that, and then Lay's will kind of say, oh, if you really like this, you should let us know. So then Facebook groups will be created. A lot of people will tweet about it. Bring back a certain type of chip, and then that chip will actually come to the consumers, at some point or another. So I mean, we're constantly seeing like, for pull strategy, I think here lately you do see it a lot with, especially like food companies, whether it be chips and soda. So Surge, that was a really big one with Coca-Cola, where Surge was really big in the 1990s. It went away, and then there was all sorts of social media groups that were kind of devoted to bringing Surge back, and it ended up working. So push strategy is something that you're probably going to see like on a daily basis, but a pull strategy is kind of a cool thing, especially with now where we have so much power, as the consumer, to where we can kind of band together on social media and kind of let a lot of these companies know, like, this is what we want. If you can get it to us, that'd be great, and we're going to support your company, in the long run. So That's all I've got for chapter 16, so we will see you next time in chapter 17.